Good morning, everyone. Jamie Meloni here, host of That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition. I'm joined in studio today by my co-host Adriana Montes of Florida Dreams Realty as we discuss HUD homes and the different contract packages and addendums that you need to be aware of. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, Jamie Meloni here, host of the all-new That Business Show 2.0 on the Real Estate Edition. Each and every Thursday at 7 a.m. we talk real estate because that's my primary job, is selling real estate, something a lot of my listeners do not know because of my time spent on the radio. I rarely talked about my own business, so I made amend to talk more about real estate each week on the program, and so we gave birth to That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition, and you can find all episodes of this along with all the other programs on our YouTube channel. Simply go to thatyoutubechannel.com, also available on iTunes as a podcast and a video cast. So in studio with me today is my guest, Adriana Montes. She is the owner of Florida Dreams Realty in Orlando and a good friend of mine and a great real estate agent and broker as well. So Adriana, welcome into the program today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a
And
pleasure.
she is a top producing real estate agent on the top Spanish producing agents. Tell us about some of your accomplishments and your lists that you've been on.
Well, over the last 5 years, I sold 1,000 homes and over 300 million of real estate. Last year, 2016, I was awarded #3 Latino agent in the nation. So I really love real estate, and it's been very rewarding for me.
And Adriana is from Colombia, came here, and I don't know if I remember right, you did not speak English, right?
No.
Was not a business professional, educated in any capacity to run a real estate business. And today, she is also an MBA and just recently got your Juris Doctorate too, correct?
Yes, I recently obtained my JD from Cooley Law School, so I'm excited about that.
And she obtained the Juris Doctorate degree while running her business, Florida Dreams Realty, and so that is an accomplishment in and of itself. Now, aren't most people supposed to take off work when they go to law school? How were you able to maintain both law and running a business?
Well, I don't know. I've always been very busy, and I always learn how to multitask. So I just don't know any other way. So I was going to law school full time, and then I was also running my business full time, and I made it.
So what's the future hold for you? Is it going to be real estate still, or are you going to be a practicing attorney?
No, I do love real estate. I do love what I do. I love my company. I love Florida Dreams Realty. It's really my passion. So I want to stay in real estate. I want to stay doing real estate.
So you just got the law degree just for something to do?
No, my grandfather was a judge in Colombia, so I wanted to keep that on the family. And then I also wanted to have it just to have more opportunities. I mean, I cannot foresee the future, so just...
Well, tremendous accomplishment, a master's degree in business, a law degree, successful real estate broker in Orlando, and a great friend of mine as well, Adriana Montes. Learn more at Florida Dreams Realty, and if she can help you out in any way in real estate in the Orlando area, definitely reach out to her. How's the real estate market in Orlando these days? In Tampa, low inventory is a big problem. How are y'all doing in Orlando?
It's similar. We really don't have any inventory as well, so any property that we get multiple offers, and everybody overbids, and
do you have a lot of investors in the market? In Tampa, we have a lot of funds that are buying for rental use, tying up a lot of the homes in the communities. I talk a lot about that on this program. Is the same thing happening in Orlando?
It is the same thing happening in Orlando. So they buy a lot of property. Sometimes they overpay for them, and they do not care because they're looking at long-term investment. So that really hurts sometimes. Many times it hurts the owner occupants, people that want to buy their first-time home buyers want to buy their first home, and there is just no opportunity for them because investors are coming in and buying these homes a lot more expensive and overpaying for them.
What's the median price point in Orlando right now, and what areas are up and coming for first-time buyers in Orlando right now?
The median price is about $210, $220. And there is a lot of new construction coming in and upcoming in Lake Nona. Lake Nona is really popular nowadays, and also Celebration and Winter Garden. So just outside of Orlando.
These price points in Tampa, it's about 150, 160. In Orlando, 210 median price point. It's incredible that we're still very low. I was talking to a broker from Seattle last week. They're at 550 median price
Wow.
point. So are we going to see that in the Tampa Bay, Orlando area in the future? Hopefully, from real estate agents' perspective and people who own their homes today. I don't know, but I just don't understand the differences in these major metros, how they're going to be such a broad difference in the median price for the first-time home buyer. Now, what got you into real estate to begin with? You came over from Colombia. Talk to me about how you found real estate.
Well, I originally started doing mortgages. So I got a mortgage license and eventually opened a mortgage company. And as I was doing mortgages, I became very interested into real estate. So I transitioned from a mortgage company to real estate and got my real estate license and eventually opened my real estate company. And I really enjoy the satisfaction that you get when someone owns a home for the first time and when someone accomplishes that dream of ownership, that dream of knowing that they're not renting, but they actually own something that is theirs.
No. Well, Adriana is with us today as she wants to learn more about HUD homes. HUD is a very a tricky area of business that a lot of real estate agents struggle with, and there's no central place to go and get educated on. They've got to learn from other brokers who study, or I should say list the homes, and I myself have sold several hundred HUD homes, and I'm a HUD listing broker. And so we've talked about that on the program a few times, but now I'm going to talk with somebody who can ask me questions. So some of the stuff I may assume is common knowledge, Adriana will ask me. And so the sites that you need to know about for HUD homes is the HUDhomestore.com. If you've missed the last episode, we went through that site specifically and how to use it. So if you watched the last episode of the Real Estate Edition, you'll see that at HUDhomestore.com. And today we're going to talk more about the forms and the contracts, and it'll deviate into some of the specifics on what it takes to buy a HUD home. But if you go to sageacq.com, Sage Acquisitions is the asset management company with the government contract tasked with dissemination of the government properties known as HUD homes here in the state of Florida. So Adriana, how can I help you out with selling HUD homes today?
Well, first of all, Jamie, how long have you been listing HUD properties for?
I started listing HUD properties in 2011.
Great, great. And who is the typical buyer of a HUD property?
Well, HUD has they cater to the homeowner buyer, the first-time buyer. They have a restriction on investor buyers who like to get the properties, but the first-time buyers are who they cater to. In our market, the typical HUD home is priced between probably $100,000 and $120,000, and so they're in a good price point for the first-time buyer. There's a lot of good programs out there that also entice the first-time buyer to purchase the home, such as the $100 down program, where they don't have to put down a 3.5% down payment. They can put down just $100 in lieu of a 3.5% down payment using an FHA mortgage. They've got a program known as the Good Neighbor Next Door program, where you can get the home for 50% off the appraised value. And they also give an initial 10-day window for homeowners to purchase the property, and they exclude investor buyers from being able to bid during those actually it's the first 15 days, and within that 15-day window, the first 10 days is a sealed bid period where nobody's offer can be accepted. You can put in the bids, but they don't review the offer until day 11.
So basically, for the first 10 days, no offers will be reviewed.
Correct.
And then from day 11 to 15, they'll review owner-occupant offers.
Correct.
And then day 15 forward, then investors.
Then investors and homeowners can bid at that point, yes. From day 11 to day 15, those are known as daily bid periods. Offers that go in on the day before close at midnight that night, and then are reviewed the following morning. And so that goes on each 24 hours. And with the exception of that first 10-day window, bids are reviewed on a daily basis.
Okay, very good. As far as inspections, how does it work? How long does a buyer or investor has to inspect the property, or what can they inspect?
A homeowner is given a 15-day, calendar day inspection period from execution of the contract. Investors do not get an inspection period, so that's across the board. Homeowners have a 15-day inspection period. Investors do not get an inspection period. They're welcome to still do a home inspection on the property, but if they back out of the deal because of defects in the home that they're not satisfied with, they would lose their deposit. And that's another reason why investors are attracted to HUD homes, is because they don't require a large deposit. And so for properties that are under $50,000, they only require a $500 deposit. And for properties over $50,000, it's a $1,000 deposit. So a lot of investors are willing to lose that money, so they're still enticed to make offers and are willing to sacrifice that deposit, the ones who do buy in bulk.
Okay, great. As far as the realtors that are able to put offers on HUD properties, I know that there are some requirements. What are the requirements for these realtors to put property
Well,
offers?
listing offices are restricted from buying HUD homes. So, and keep in mind, there's a lot of agents that are not maybe the broker of their office, but the broker themselves is restricted, and all the agents underneath that broker are restricted from buying HUD homes. So not commonly known. People will say, well, the listing agent's not allowed to buy. They understand that. But if the listing agent is under a broker, the entire brokerage is exempt from being able to purchase HUD homes. Now, if you're not involved with the listing of the property, you're welcome to make offers on the property as a homeowner or as an investor, depending on what your situation is. HUD defines a owner-occupant buyer simply as somebody who's going to live in the home for 1 year as a primary residence. It's all it really states on the owner-occupant affidavit. It makes no claims about do you own other homes, which other corporate entities do also include as qualifiers for becoming an owner-occupant. But you're welcome to purchase homes as long as you're not a listing office, and a lot of real estate agents do.
But as far as the NAID number, the selling agents and the buyer agents have to have a specific number to put offers?
Yes. Yeah, buyers are not able to purchase HUD homes by themselves. They are required to use a real estate agent, and the real estate brokerage needs to have an NAID number. That stands for name, address, identification. It's simply just a registration number with HUD that all brokerages should have. So if you're a buyer out there looking to purchase a home and HUD is on the game plan of stuff to look at, make sure the brokerage has an NAID number, because if they do not, you will not be able to place a bid on the property, and they'll have to give the buyer to another brokerage without compensation, because HUD restricts the paying of referral fees between broker and broker. For brokers and real estate agents, it's a simple thing to do. Just go to HUDhomestore.com. At the top of the page, it says NAID registration. It takes about 6 weeks to complete the process, but again, time is of the essence when you have a buyer that's looking to purchase a property. So very important to get registered, get your NAID number registered. So again, currently in studio with Adriana Montes, owner of Florida Dreams Realty out of Orlando, and your host, Jamie Meloni, talking about HUD homes and contract packages and things that you need to know when you're purchasing government-owned properties. We'll be back in a moment with more. You're listening to That Business Show 2.0, the real estate edition, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts. locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
Hey everyone, welcome back to That Business Show 2.0, the real estate edition, where we talk real estate talk each Thursday from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and available on demand on iTunes and on YouTube in high definition. This is in addition to our weekly show at 7 a.m. where we talk with many different business professionals, entrepreneurs, political and community leaders, and we'd love to hear your story. Simply visit tbsinterview.com, and again, all shows available on demand on YouTube. Just go to thatyoutubechannel.com. In studio with my guest, Adriana Montes, owner of Florida Dreams Realty, based in Orlando, Florida, a fellow real estate broker specializing in the sale of bank-owned properties. And as you can see from her show card, she's also an MBA and now a Juris Doctor, as we talked about in that last segment. So we're focusing now on government-owned homes, HUD homes, because there's a lot of questions surrounding these, and Adriana helping get the audience up to speed and talking a little bit about what it takes to buy these types of properties. So Adriana, elaborate a little bit more. What else can I help listeners out there with regard to government properties?
Well, the other question that I was wanting to ask you is what kind of financing can you have when you are trying to purchase these properties?
The financing is no different than financing a regular home. I mean, you have the traditional products on the marketplace, the cash, the conventional, the FHA, and the VA. Now, with that being said, though, the HUD does have a few special programs available for borrowers. They can use the $100 down program, which replaces the 3.5% down payment with $100 down, so it reduces their cash to close. But it doesn't mean that they cannot come to close with just $100. There is closing costs on top of that, but it does greatly reduce the cash to close. In addition, you've got to put down a deposit of either $500 or $1,000. So I always like to clarify that, because I've had many a buyer think that they can just have $100 and close on the property. It just means that you're replacing the deposit with a 3.5% down. Now, with regard to financing, you have to look at the condition of the property. Whenever you get a mortgage on a property, there are two components of approval: you, the borrower, and then the collateral, the home itself. So if you qualify, but the property is in unlivable or unsafe condition, the lender is going to require repairs or rehab or some type of renovation prior to close. HUD will do no repairs prior to closing on the property, and they're not going to finance the cost repairs on your behalf. And so any repairs that are necessary to complete the loan are going to be the responsibility of the borrower. Now, you can do an FHA 203K loan designed to incorporate the costs of the renovation inside the acquisition cost of the property. Or if the property is FHA insurable, you can use a standard FHA mortgage. The good thing about HUD homes is if you go to HUDhomestore.com, you will see on the property information screen a code, and that code will tell you whether or not the property qualifies for FHA financing. And so I will bring that up on my site, or my computer right here. And John, if you want to go over to the website there, we will show you here. Simply go to HUDhomestore.com, select whatever state that you're in, and then I'll just leave it broad right there. That's going to bring up the property information available in the area. So if I select this property here, for instance, it's going to bring me over to the property information screen.
Okay.
Over here on the right-hand column, the place that I've highlighted in blue, is the thing that says whether or not the property is eligible for FHA financing. That can be one of 3 different codes. If it's IN, it means it qualifies for FHA financing without any type of repairs done. If it's IE, which this one is, in which the majority of the properties are, that means it has lender required repairs of up to $10,000. If the code says U or UI, that means it's FHA uninsurable, and so the property will not qualify for a regular FHA mortgage and would have to be financed via a 203K loan, and it'll say right there whether or not that is eligible right there. And again, that cost or that loan incorporates the cost of the repairs inside the loan. If you come over here to the addendums tab and you click on escrow, what this does is this opens up the repairs that are required on the property to meet government lending standards. They are very vague in general as determined by the appraiser. And as you can see here, it's in this situation, repair wood rot and clean gutters. So, and that's probably no more than, a few $100s to get that fixed. But if it's something substantial, and as long as it doesn't exceed $10,000, you can get an FHA mortgage on a property.
Can you go back to the previous screen, Jamie?
Yes. Property info screen right here.
Yeah. So I have a few questions in regards to that screen. What does exclusive mean?
Exclusive means that the property is currently in that first 15-day window that we talked about in segment 1, which means the eligible bidders are owner-occupants, nonprofits, and government agencies. Now, nonprofits and government agencies have their own NEID numbers and handle the disposition, or I should say the acquisition of HUD homes on their own. But with regard to real estate agents and buyers and investors, they only need to be concerned with the owner-occupant and the investor category. So when it says exclusive, that means owner-occupants are eligible to bid. Investors are not eligible to bid during the exclusive bid period.
Okay, so it has a deadline for the buyers to see. They can, so they can basically go to the HUD home store and just pull any information about any estate that they're looking for properties in, and basically look at the information when they're able to put offers on them, right?
Yeah, in this situation, you mentioned the period deadline right there. And so that's right now at 4:14 at midnight, and it's on Central Standard Time. This property is in a 10-day bid period window. So if it had exceeded the 10 days, then it would always be, this up here would always be 24 hours or less, with the exception of that first 10-day sealed bid period. And so the period deadline is the period, or is when the bid period closes. And then on the following business day after expiration of that deadline is when they review all the offers. And so again, we know that this is still within that 10-day window because the bid submission time remaining is in excess of 24 hours.
Okay, very good. And as far as FHA financing, insured escrow, what does that mean?
Insured with repair escrow means that the property has lender required repairs of up to $10,000 determined by the appraiser. When HUD acquires the property on behalf of a lender that foreclosed on a mortgagor, HUD acquires the property and they do an appraisal as soon as they acquire the property. The appraiser goes in there and determines the cost of the repairs, and that addendum that I showed you is what the repairs that they noted. It's not an all-inclusive repair list for a property. It strictly deals with lender required repairs on behalf of an FHA mortgage. So things like cosmetic, paint, carpet, those things will not be necessarily required, although they may need to be done. What they're looking for are things such as broken windows, holes in the roof, health and safety issues, non-functional heating and air systems. Those are the types of things that can derail an FHA mortgage. Cosmetic things do not and are not going to be incorporated into the cost of the FHA financing on a property.
Very nice. So basically, this website could be accessed for anybody who's interested in buying properties, such as a home buyer, somebody who wants to buy as a primary resident, or even an investor. You can go into HUD Home Store and look at what properties are available on each state and each city.
Yes, HUDHomestore.com is the universal site for government properties across the country. and people do need to use a real estate agent to make offers on the property. So people can go there and look at the properties, but to submit an offer on the property, they require an agent. So when you come back over here to the site and you're on the property information screen, after you've got a realtor, you'll see there the submit an offer button. And then from there, that's where the realtors have to take over, because you come over here and you'll see that it requires an NEID number. So for the real estate agents, they're selling brokers, and then they can put in their NEID numbers and then their real estate license number. So this is where the general public will get derailed and not be able to submit offers on a property. But a lot of people think that they can, because other sites such as Hubzu will allow buyers to submit property offers, and many other sites as well. But that takes you over to the bid submission screen, and this is where the offers go. One of the nice things about HUD Homes are listing agents are not involved in the offer process, so they can't hurt or help your sale in any way by being non-responsive or difficult to work with. Selling agents simply submit the offers online at this site right here, and they go straight up to the asset management company. And in Florida, that is Sage Acquisitions. They review the offers on the property and will accept the offer with the highest net proceeds to HUD on the bid open date. From there, they connect the listing agent with the selling agents to get the contract package prepared, and then off to Atlanta in our situation for review. And so I want to go through some of the addendums and some of the contract package when we come back from the break. And so there's a lot of different forms to be aware of and to go with the contract package, because once the offer is accepted, you have a 48-hour business hour window to get these properties up, to get the contract package up to Sage or whoever your asset management provider is in your state for execution. Failure to deliver the contract package on time does result in disqualification of your offer. And if there's an acceptable offer in the system that was behind your offer, they simply roll it to the next person in line, and there's no way to get the property back. If your offer was the only offer in the system at that time, and you fail to meet the deadline, they will then at that point put it back onto the market and you can reoffer. But many times there's multiple offers in the system that are acceptable, and if you fail to get the contract package to HUD in time, they will disqualify the offer. So we're going to be referencing sageacq.com when we come back from the break and talk about some of the different addendums involved with the contract package after you have an offer accepted. So you're currently listening to the Real Estate Edition of That Business Show 2.0 in studio with my guest Adriana Montes of Florida Dreams Realty, a real estate brokerage based in Orlando and a top Latina agent, Juris Doctor, and MBA recipient as well. So if she can in any way help you in real estate in Orlando, visit floridadreamsrealty.com. And if I can help you in any way with a free home valuation, simply go to thathomevaluation.com. Again, thathomevaluation.com. You're listening to That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition, with your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Welcome back to That Business Show, the Real Estate Edition. I'm your host, Jamie Meloni, alongside Adriana Montes of Florida Dreams Realty. Each Thursday, we talk real estate here on the program because I am a realtor and want to be your resource for real estate in the Tampa Bay region. And again, if I can help you out with a free home valuation, simply visit thathomevaluation.com. We can get you over a free home valuation. And if you're in the Orlando area, check out floridadreamsrealty.com. Adriana and her team have been in business for how many years now?
13 years.
13 years, and she's a top Latina agent, again, based in Orlando. So today we're talking about government-owned properties, HUD properties specifically, as they're called. And I'm a listing broker for HUD. I've sold several hundred properties through the last 6 or 7 years with regard to government homes. And there's a lot of information that both buyers and realtors need to be aware of in the process. And so we were talking about how to use the website in that last segment, but we're going to go into some of the forms and some of the contract here in this next segment.
Thank you, Jamie. Some of the questions that I had was in regards to some of the forms that that you have to use for the HUD properties. For example, the buyer select closing agent. What will that be about?
Okay, buyer select closing agent form. First off, these forms can all be found over on sageacq.com. So if you go there to sageacq.com and you go over to forms. Now we're in the Atlanta area, so you'll choose Atlanta HAWC, which stands for Home Ownership Center, and you can see these forms down below. There's the contract package right there, and then below that are the other forms. And so Adriana is asking about the buyer select closing agent form. So what this form entails is the buyer's selection of the closing agent on the property. And actually across the country, the buyers select the closing agent. They do in Florida, to my knowledge, they do it in all states. The buyer selects the closing agent. The different markets have different traditions. The tradition in our area is the seller selects the closing agent, but with HUD, it's across the board that the buyer selects. So on this form here, when you turn in the contract package, you simply fill out this form, and that tells you who you're going to be closing with. This is the company that will be providing the title insurance for the property. Very important down here at the bottom that the company have a title ID. You're welcome to use any title agency in your marketplace. They just need to have a title ID. If this is their first time closing a property on behalf of HUD, they need to, when you send this form in with the contract package, you need to get a copy of the title company's license and also a copy of their heirs and omissions insurance. Once HUD receives that, they assign the title company an ID, and all future transactions, that's no longer a requirement. You'll simply provide the title ID on the buyer select closing agent form. This form is very straightforward and easy to fill out. Simply put in the case number, buyer's information, and the title company's information, and then the title company will be selected to close the property, and then upon execution, we'll receive a copy of the contract.
So this title ID is basically the same as the NAID for realtors, but
It's
the
similar,
title ID
yeah.
is for title companies?
Yes, it's very much the same thing. A little bit of a difference in that they do not provide a W-9 as a payee, but yeah, it's simply a registration number on behalf of HUD, yes.
Very good. So in HUD properties, the buyer selects the closing company, as opposed to usually in REO sales, the seller selects the title company, but on HUD properties, the buyer will be selecting the closing
It's
company.
traditional on on other foreclosed properties that the seller selects the title company. Commonly not known though is the buyers can select the title company on any properties that they want, even with the bank ones. They're just going to be required to purchase their own title insurance and pay some additional fees because the bank's title company will still represent them in the transaction. And so you're going to have two title companies involved, but the buyers are welcome to provide their own title provider in the transaction. Not commonly done though, because most buyers are adverse to who provides the title insurance. It's not something that people compete on in price in Florida. It is a promulgated rate that is set by the state. So depending on the purchase price of the property, the title insurance is set, and the taxes are set. So they compete on closing fees and miscellaneous costs, which amounts to just really a few $100s. So really how title companies compete is on quality of service. And so there's not a lot of care with regard to who closes a property from a buyer's perspective. Realtors a lot of times have their relationships with different closing agents, but from a buyer's perspective, A lot of times they don't care. Investors will care. They like to have a relationship with a certain company. But by and large, the buyer select closing agent form, buyer selects, but it's usually at the recommendation of the real estate agent.
That is true. That the title companies, the way how they get business is to provide good service and to establish relationships with agents. So if you're an agent, you know that that title company is going to work, it's going to respond to your emails, and it's going to take that closing as soon as possible and be very efficient.
Now, you went into title business too, right? You got a title...
I have a title agent license too.
Title agent license, just another thing that she's got here. Did you end up doing anything with the title agent side of the business or no?
I did the title for a while, but I put it on hold to be able to finish law school.
Yeah? Well, that's that complements the JD very well because
Yeah.
title insurance is centered around law, and at the core of all the underwriting is an attorney behind the documents with regard to a real estate transaction. So you're set up pretty nicely here. MBA, JD, title agent, real estate broker. You're a one-stop shop.
Thank you, Jamie. That's the idea, to be able to provide added value to clients and servicers and all of the customers that we service, as much value as we can provide. That puts us in a different level and sets apart from the competition.
Yep, FloridaDreamsRealty.com, again, based in Orlando. So let's go through some of the other forms that are in the contract package.
So the second one would be the lead-based paint addendum. What will that mean?
Lead-based paint addendum, we'll bring that up here. This is a required form for properties that are built prior to 1978, and this is a requirement for all properties, not just HUD properties. Now, HUD has a specific lead-based paint form, and as you can see this here on the screen, this is not the state-approved addendum. This is the HUD-approved addendum. And so what this is saying is if the property was built prior to 1978, there may be the potential for lead-based paint. Lead-based paint was taken off the market in 1978 because of the potential for birth defects and other health hazards from the chipping and the ingestion of the paint by mostly children who put their fingers in their mouth after playing, with the windowsills and paint, on the walls and things like that. Now that became the required disclosure because of the health problems that were occurring because of lead-based paint. So this is a required addendum on all properties, and this is a specific form for HUD. So don't use the state-approved addendum, talking to the realtors out there. Make sure that you use this form here. One of the nice things about HUD, though, is it has in there a clause that if the property is bought with an FHA mortgage and the lead-based paint is determined to exist, they will pay for the cost of stabilization up to $4,000. And so that is down here in this paragraph down there. And if it is a 203K loan, they will give a credit for $4,000 for remediation of the lead-based paint. So if you're an FHA buyer on the property, once the property goes under contract, HUD will conduct a lead-based paint test at their expense, provide the results to the buyer. And if the results show a positive test for lead-based paint, they will then do the remediation up to $4,000. And again, this only applies to buyers using FHA financing. So if you're buying with a conventional mortgage, a VA mortgage, or paying cash, or you're an investor, they don't do this and they do not apply that.
It's still a great benefit for a first-time home buyer, someone who's buying a property with an FHA loan, because if you were to get another bank-owned property or just a traditional listing, they don't offer that incentive of $4,000 to be able to remediate the lead.
No, that is true. It's very uncommon for a bank to offer any type of credit, let alone do repairs of up to $4,000 on a property. So that is unique to the government properties, correct.
And then let's move on to the third addendum, which is the 203K rehab financing lead agreement. Is that related to the same?
Yes, that's the same thing there. That is just if you have a 203K loan, because you're going to be doing all these other repairs, they're not going to go in there and just do that repair by itself. They're going to give a credit for the lead-based paint remediation on top of all the other costs that are going to be in your loan. So it differentiates between a regular FHA mortgage and an FHA 203K loan, and so that's what that addendum is for there.
Okay, very good. And the next one is the owner-occupant certification. So when you're buying a property as a primary residence, or when you're buying a property, you have to disclose the interest.
Right.
How will this form operate?
HUD defines an owner-occupant as what it says here. I certify that I have not purchased a HUD-owned property within the past 24 months as an owner-occupant, and this offer is being submitted with the representation that I will occupy the property as my primary residence for at least 12 months. So as long as you can meet those two qualifiers right there, you're considered an owner-occupant. Now, there are other owner-occupant affidavits that are on the market for different clients that are a little bit more intensive or have more qualifiers in them. One of those being, does the borrower own other homes? Their owner-occupant affidavit doesn't state anything about, do you currently own other homes? And so that's a sticking point and a debating point amongst a lot of realtors. But I always tell buyers, whatever it says on this form is what you're attesting to. So if you own another home and you're buying a HUD home, as long as you're going to operate or live in this home for 12 months as your primary residence, you're meeting the qualifications of this form right here. So this form is required for all buyers who are purchasing the property as an owner-occupant. And this comes into play again because, remember, you have those bid periods where investors are restricted. So if an investor is fraudulently presenting themselves as a homeowner to get the property with the intent to rehab and flip or turn into a rent the property, they can be fined on behalf of the government. I know Fannie Mae specifically targets people for this. We've seen borrowers get fined for that. It's a $10,000 fine. HUD doesn't, at least I've not seen them actually go after anybody on this, and I'm not sure what their penalty for that is. But take this stuff seriously. It is something that helps improve the quality of the real estate market and something that the government takes seriously. So if you are an owner-occupant, actually it says up here though, a fine of up to $250,000. So, but that's government lingo right there. More realistically though, it would probably be a few $1,000s. But it does happen, so don't misrepresent yourself as an owner-occupant when you're actually an investor. So again, currently going through the different forms required in the purchase of a HUD home. We're reviewing them at sageacq.com and in studio with my guest, Adriana Montes of Florida Dreams Realty. So when we come back from the break, we'll cover a few more of these forms on That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition. I'm your host, Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeagers. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeagers, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And we're back to the all-new That Business Show 2.0, the Real Estate Edition. I'm your host, Jamie Meloni, in the studio with Orlando-based broker Adriana Montes of Florida Dream Realty. So we're going through the different contract packages, addendums required with the sale of government-owned properties, specifically referencing the site sageacq.com. Across the top, just head over to forms, and depending on which region you're in, select the appropriate home ownership center. So Adriana, what other forms or contract addendums can we, do you have some questions about?
I had some questions about the sales package itself, the contract package. If you can go over that.
Sure. The primary contract package is found under here, and you'll see 4 different attachments there. The one that we're going to be concerned with as buyers and investors and realtors is the owner-occupant investor package. And so this is the primary contract that is submitted with the property. Now here you have the input page right here, and you input all the different items from the bid. You have a bid confirmation number that the realtor will receive when they input your bid. So it's important to keep the bid confirmation sheet after the bid is accepted, because you will be required to put in that number there. And then you're really just recreating the offer that I showed you on the screen at HUDHomestore.com with the additional information for the brokerage, such as address and the IDs of the brokerage and the buyer. Coming down to here is the main contract package, or the main page of the contract right here. And won't go into too much depth right here, but it is pretty straightforward. Purchaser's name goes up there, and then down here, the address, and then the title that they are selecting the property to be taken in. So that would be like tenants in common, single man, single woman. If it's a corporate entity, it would be corporate. Paragraph 4 talks about the type of financing that is used. And so FHA mortgages are the first line, and then down at the bottom of paragraph 4 is for all the other types of financing, whether you're paying with cash, VA, conventional, and so on and so forth. Line 5 is the closing cost assistance line. HUD will pay up to 3% in closing cost assistance if it's submitted with the original offer request.
Would that mean, will they have to have a FHA or conventional loan to ask for financial assistance?
No, it doesn't matter what type of mortgage that they get. They cap closing cost assistance at 3%, whether it's an FHA mortgage or a conventional mortgage. Line 6A and 6B are the brokerage commissions. And then after you deduct the commission and the closing cost from the purchase price, you get line 7, which is the net proceeds to HUD. And that is what they will accept an offer based upon the highest net proceeds to HUD within that particular bid period. Paragraph 8 deals with owner-occupant or an investor. Disclose what you are there. That would have been submitted with the original offer. And then your closing time frames. If it's cash, it's going to be 30 days, 45 days for all others. And sometimes that changes, so keep an eye on that. I'm thinking they may have just changed that because that says 45 and it's in yellow. A lot of times before that has been open. And if they do not accept the offer, this would have been disclosed in the initial offer, may or may not accept the offer or hold the offer as backup. Line 11, the lead-based paint. They only require the lead-based paint addendum if it's built prior to 1978. Be sure to initial in paragraph 12, sign and date down at the bottom. And so that's the main part of the contract down there. Some other filing addendums, and then the other addendums are attached to that. We've covered some of those. The buyer select closing agent addendum there, closing instructions and certification. So they've attached all the other addendums to that package there. But the HUD 9548 sales contract that I was just going through is the primary contract page for the entire transaction.
What are the most typical mistakes that you see that agents do when they fill out the contract?
In that contract that I was just showing you, the paragraph 12, they missed that initial point right there because it is a shaded paragraph and there's a borrower's initials that are required to be put in there. So they missed that a lot. They're required to submit an original contract package with the mail up to HUD. So a lot of times they will make copies. They're supposed to use blue ink, although that's not highly enforced, but they should use blue ink on the contract. just inaccurate information. You'd be surprised just how oftentimes they just put in inaccurate information based upon the bid that they submitted. They'll leave things blank. Everything needs to be filled in and match. Everything has to match up. Social Security number has to be perfect. That's another error. If the borrower or the realtor puts in the wrong Social Security number, there's no fix for that. They have to reject that offer completely. They can't go back and edit the Social Security number. And so that's another mistake. Also, brokerages, large brokerages that may have multiple EIN numbers, sometimes they mismatch the tax ID with the NAID number. So each NAID number has a specific tax ID associated with it, and different brokerages will have multiple EINs and NAID numbers, and so they'll mismatch those numbers sometimes. So those are some common mistakes that I see. And also not turning the contract package in time. 48 hours is a tough window to hit, and sometimes they just don't make that window.
Very curious. So why do you have to disclose the Social Security number of the buyer on a HUD contract?
Because it's the government, and they do background checks on anything related to a government transaction. So if you've been involved in an FHA mortgage, they've already background checked you. So that's just, I think, makes it easy for them to look up information on the borrower. They can check their databases and see if there's any issues with them in any of their databases. But title agents, listing, selling agents, anybody involved in a government transaction is going to get some sort of background check. And so that's why that's provided there.
Okay, very good. As far as any extension, how will you go about getting an extension? There's a specific form for that?
Yes. Extension forms over here on Sage ACQ. Underneath other forms, you'll see the extension request form. This is required to be filed 5 days prior to the closing, before the expiration of the property. And to do this, you'll see here, a fee must be submitted with the property, with the extension form. So there is the matrix for what is required. They do extensions in 15-day increments. So whatever it is that you need an extension for, you're going to have to do $150 for $25,000 or less, $225 if it's $25,000 to $50,000, and $375 if it's $50,000 or more. If you only use 7 days of that 15-day period, they will prorate the difference and put that back on the HUD as a credit to the borrower. But extension fees go with the form. So the requirements of filing an extension, you need three things. You need the extension form itself filled out and signed. You need the extension fee, which needs to be a certified check payable to HUD. And then you're going to need updated proof of funds or an updated loan approval letter to show that the borrower is still qualified or still has the available funds to close. All of that stuff is sent in this situation up to Sage for review and is again required to be there 5 days prior to expiration of the contract.
Is there any way of waiving that fee, or you must pay the fee always if there is some kind of delay in behalf of the seller that is not the fault of the buyer?
They do in this form here, and this is Sage, and it depends on who the asset management company is. Some will have a policy of waiving the fee, some will not. So with regard to Sage, they address that here in the addendum. Requests for extension fees to be waived. This request must be submitted electronically utilizing the email address shown below for your respective region. Specific examples of reasons for a free extension would include owner-occupants experiencing delays with financing may be entitled to one free extension. In the case of 203K loans, Sage may grant 2 extensions in 15-day increments when warranted. Delays attributed to a seller delay or other concerns related to a delay of a HUD contractor are not going to be, are not going to affect the borrower. So yes, Sage does have a policy of allowing, one of the extension fees to be waived on a property, again, but related only to owner occupants. So they have leeway on owner occupants. Investors, they don't have as much leeway on.
As far as canceling the contract, how will you cancel a HUD contract and will you get your money back?
HUD requires the contract cancellation form here that I have pulled up, and depending on if the reason for cancellation is warranted, then yes, you can get your money back. If it's an investor, there is no inspection period and there is no way to get the money back unless it's a seller-induced failure, such as title's not clear or something along those lines. If it is a homeowner buyer and they have completed a home inspection and the home inspection reveals some type of defect in the property that is in line with one of the contract addendums that specifically lays out what types of repairs are warranted for cancellation, then yes, they can get their deposit back. It's not all-encompassing, though. Many banks have an all-encompassing inspection period, 10 days, 15 days, whatever. Cancel for whatever reason. You can cancel if your mother doesn't like the color of the house. That's not true with HUD. You have to do a home inspection on the property and find something warranted that was not readily available or observable when you made the offer on the property.
Interesting. And as far as if the property gets vandalized, who will be responsible for that? The buyer, the seller? How will you
They have a
report
form
that?
for that also, the report vandalism change in condition form here. If there is vandalism after the property is went under contract and prior to the closing, HUD will offer some type of credit or repair. I can tell you this is not a fun process to go through, and they don't always give appropriate credits or do the repairs. But yes, there is a form for this. This is what the broker would pull up and submit to HUD in the event that happens. And real quick, I want to cover the FSM utility activation request forms. After the property is contracted by a buyer, if they'd like to do an inspection on the property, they have to get utilities turned on in their own name, and they will use the form here underneath the FSM utility activation request forms, depending on which area that they're in, and they get permission to turn on the utilities and complete the inspection. But again, that is at the buyer's expense and cost, and also turning them on in their own name. So we went through a lot of information today. We cover HUD a lot on this program because there is a lot of information to know. So we had a great show today. I greatly appreciate Adriana Montes of Florida Dreams Realty for being in studio with me today. And you'll see her popping in and out of here a lot here on the real estate edition of the show. Learn more about her at floridadreamsrealty.com. So Adriana, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Absolutely.
you for this educational session on HUD. Thank you very much.
And you can learn more about this program, TampaBayRadio.com, and find all shows available on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0, the real estate edition, with your host, Jamie Meloni, and also Adriana Montes. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.